Welcome to Now Serving a Site of Therapy, a client's introductory guide into the therapeutic world. Be sure to follow, subscribe, and comment on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. To schedule a therapy appointment, call us at 650-223-5065. For more information on this and other related topics, check out our blog at isotherapy.com, where you can also contact us through our website. I'm your host, Dalton Huckaby, a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I'm grateful you've joined me. Welcome to this week's episode of Now Serving a Site of Therapy, a client's introductory guide into the therapeutic world. Today, we are joined by Chris Warrens, who is a business coach, mentor, and serial entrepreneur with over 15 years of experience building companies across multiple industries. A Purple Heart recipient and Army veteran, he brings a powerful mix of discipline, leadership, and strategic insight. Today, Chris helps entrepreneurs grow purpose-driven businesses with clarity and accountability. And so I want to welcome you, Chris, to this week's episode.
Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for having me. I try to do whatever I can to help Isotherapy and anyone a part of the organization. So I look forward to the questions and whatever value I can hopefully add. I will do my best.
Sweet. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, usually like with the podcast, again, I kind of started it with this idea of if someone's thinking about kind of getting into therapy, what are some things that they might be able to expect, right? And then later on, we've gotten into more kind of specific discussions, but I feel that there is value in just kind of pausing and taking a moment to like talk about ISO and the work that ISO does within the mental health field. And so I understand that you've been an outside business consultant for about a year and a half with ISO now. And so I thought it might be a great idea to kind of like get your insights into the inner workings of ISO, maybe some of the changes that you've seen them go through, right? And maybe kind of even some of the future stuff too that maybe hoping for ISO. And so again, through this lens of, even just someone from this kind of like individual therapy basis, right, might even be able to benefit like, hey, if we are like setting goals for ourselves and we're striving towards those, right, like there are some barriers and obstacles and challenges that we're going to come across. So I think there's even still benefit into like, discussions around mental health capacity as we're even striving towards our personal goals.
100%. Yeah. I think it's very aligned.
And so
both topics are aligned. Yeah, I agree with you.
Awesome. And so kind of all that being said, I was just kind of curious over the past year and a half or so with your time with ISO, what changes have you seen that ISO has made that like continues to encourage the team to align with their values or the quality of the service that they're striving towards providing for the clients?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's been a year and a half. November of 24 is when I started with Isotherapy. And in the past, year and a half, I think technically the year and a half mark will be next month, but I'm rounding up. I'm rounding up. But I would say most prominently, for lack of better terms, business. All right. But let me frame that a little better. Okay. I would say communication management, both have progressed probably more so than pretty much anything else. And I say that because, as a entrepreneur of almost 18 years myself, it probably took me too long, a decade more, maybe a decade and some change, to realize the importance of management and communication among, some other topics, but of how vital they are for an organization to thrive. Coming in to Isotherapy, I knew the owner. I've known the owner, Anna, for 2 decades, two and a half decades.
Oh, wow. I had no idea.
Anna and I actually went to high school together. And
Oh, dude, no way. So it's
yeah,
a funny, quick story if I can
yeah,
diverge real quick. So when we
please.
started the podcast,
Yeah,
so where I used to live, a buddy and neighbor of mine was helping me with the softwares of how to like edit and put it all together.
yeah.
And so Anna was on the very first episode, and there's something I was trying to fix. And so he said, my buddy's like, send me a clip so I can see if I can fix it for you. So I sent it to him. He's like, no, I can't fix it, but I also know the woman that's in your video. So he knew Anna back
Mhm,
from when they were like in Connecticut or something like
mhm,
that.
mhm.
So yeah, it's a
Yeah,
small world sometimes.
it is a small world, and Connecticut's tiny, right? So, we went to high school together, and I've known her a long time, and she's always been very similar in this one sense of she's got a monstrous heart. Her heart, she wears it on her sleeve,
Yeah.
a huge heart. And unfortunately, now I say this because I had the same style, and I still have the same style. But unfortunately, when you're owning a business and trying to grow it, leading with heart in business decisions often can be counterproductive. Now, there's a time and place for that. But when it comes to management specifically, what an owner has to learn at one point or another is stepping aside from our heart, from our feelings. We have to step aside from the feelings, not dismiss them, just kind of compartmentalize it and be like, all right, well, outside of how I feel, this is what's best for the business, or this is what's best for the customer, or this is what's best for the team member or department or teams or whatever the framework is. So coming into isotherapy, I knew that was going to be the case, and it very much is. And from the top down, management has been a huge focus, and it's very bumpy, especially when you're rolling out like management policies that streamline what's best for the company's trajectory. It kind of ruffles feathers, and people that have been around might not like it, and that's very normal. But
Yeah.
leading with heart and then becoming like a management based company, it can be blended, and it very much should be.
Yeah, I was thinking the word blended as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but like pure leading with heart just a lot of times get business owners in trouble financially, lawsuits. I mean, it's just never ending. So what I'm saying is, from the top down, in my humble opinion, isotherapy has gotten much much more aligned with the heart and management, and kind of like managing the company as a whole. My background is leadership and management, and Anna knew that it was needed, but I think she looked at me as the individual that would be able to kind of like direct her on how to do it, or when to do it, or why to do it. I went to school for business and undergrad and grad, and building companies for 2 decades and managing, and the military prior to that. I mean, I did it wrong for way longer than I've done it right. I mean, I got to be honest.
Huh.
Yeah.
A big learning curve, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah, totally. But that's a strong suit of mine, and that's something that has been a forefront of everybody's thinking in isotherapy over the past year or so. And in conjunction to that kind of goes the communication. Both of these topics are still in the works, right? Like nothing's ever going to be perfect, including in my organization, right? But when it comes to communication, I've seen a big change in positive communication, and more people understanding, and word getting out, and more effective meetings, and less ineffective meetings. And generally speaking, people are more so on the same page than maybe not as much prior or earlier to when I got there. And I think there's a lot of circumstances to that, but that's not relevant. What is relevant is the management in communication. That's my perspective. I don't know if you would agree, Dalton.
Yeah, in fact, one of our other kind of colleagues has said, it's kind of almost better to over communicate, right? So when you say communication, like, it's not just like, it's communication in many respects, right?
Yep.
And it really kind of, when I think of that, it drills down to this aspect of transparency,
Correct.
right? So that and intent.
Yeah.
So because there's a request, there's information that's being given, right? There is a reason why it's being given. It's not just to make more work for some people or just because we made it up, right? There's
Yeah.
specific intent and purpose around
Yeah.
why we're communicating, what we're communicating, and when we're communicating it.
Yeah. Framing the subject from the start so everyone understands. You're absolutely right, and that was very well said. And using an example, and I'm listen, if I would think Anna would be very happy to hear these sorts of things. And usually I'm right about these things, but sometimes I'm not. But I'll tell you, in the beginning, I said, Anna, what's the vision of Isotherapy? And, she told me the vision, and I said, awesome. Okay. So everybody understands this in the company? And she's like, I think so. And I was like, nope. No. Now, that is what every business owner does, unless you're like a Steve Jobs or Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or, 120 years ago, Andrew Carnegie, Ford, Rockefellers, these pure visionaries that like just do the visionary stuff when it comes to like, hey, this is where we're going. And this is how you're going to help us get there. That's like what they do, right? A lot of people mistake Bezos and Musk, these two powerhouses that most people are aware of. They're just visionaries. They're really good at communicating. Hey, this is where we're going, and this is how we're getting there. Right. The rest of us, small business owners that come through the ranks, and medium-sized business owners, large business owners, it's like an acquired skill. Like you have to learn to do it. It's like, yeah, you understand it, or I understand it up here as the owner, but does your team understand? No? Okay. Let's start there.
Let's start there. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's start. And it's no harm, no foul. It's just like, that's basically where we started a year and a half ago. And, I would like to think that Dalton, you probably understands very well where Isotherapy is going at this point, right?
Anna shared some of her kind of future ideas. Yeah. And so I do know, like, at the basis of it, like you said, certainly a lot of heart, right? But also like everything is really centered around the care that we provide for the client, right?
Yep.
Whether it's legal and ethical matters, right? Or if it's tending to our own self-care, right? Or things like this, like everything that we do is with the one thing in mind is how can we continue to provide quality care for the client. And personally, I think like as if that being a main focus, like there's a lot of drive that can move forward with that, right? There's a lot of possibility around that moving forward.
Yeah, agreed, very much so. So yeah, management communication is what I would say is the biggest two things that stick out.
Nice. Yeah. And trying to get the alignment too, right? Because as a business is growing, like I can't help but think, I mean, I have so many interests, like I'm going to die and not be able to do all the things that I'm interested in. Like I just have a lot of interests and ideas. But one of them was like this aspect of like business psychology, right? So like even being engaged in like the team meetings and stuff like this, I try to put what little of a business psychology hat, a mindset that I have on. And the idea is that as the business is growing, like you said, it's like, okay, now Anna's like set out to make sure everyone else is on the same page with her vision, right? And then but then as the business is growing, how to continue to impart that idea too as the business is growing, because you can communicate at one point in time and then the business is growing, and then did the new people also get the prior messages, right? So there's this fine balance between what's being communicated and how does that message stay across the board delivered to new hires and as the business is continuing to grow.
Yeah. And it's been a topic for sure. And something that I think is a little bit more recent is, thoroughly during the onboarding process, there is time dedicated, I believe on the first day specifically, to at least like circumvent, hey, I didn't know what the vision was. Well, now it's actually in the onboarding process. And I could be wrong, but I think that's an addition. And
Oh
so that,
yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, there's a lot of work on that onboarding process for sure. Yeah.
yeah. Management. My onboarding process is part of the management of a company. And the onboarding process has been a focal point for us for the past 6 months or so.
Oh, nice.
Maybe a little longer, maybe more like 8 to 10. It just depends on, who was working on what and so on and so forth.
Uh-huh. Cool. And so, yeah, so the more that we can kind of communicate and get everybody on the same board with this idea, right? Then the more is what I was trying to get at, is that there's more institutional alignment, right?
Yeah.
Then everybody's like, okay, now we have this common understanding. Yeah.
And that's key for any organization. Doesn't matter how big or small you are, one person or two people or 60 or 600. My buddy, one of my closest friends, Brandon, he has a company. He has like 800 employees. He's my
Wow.
yeah, he's 40 years old. And we talk about this all the time, which is communicating and like his problems when it comes to communication and my problems when it comes to communication and Anna's problems when it comes to communication really aren't that much different. It's a matter of just making sure everybody understands and everyone's aligned with where the company is going moving forward. The approach is always going to be a little different, like Anna's approach, my approach, Brandon's approach, everybody's approach. It's just a matter of alignment, just like you said.
Yeah, and then having the because the business is growing too, right? The kind of leadership roles, as it were, that are in place, right? Need kind of like having those leadership roles also established to and kind of enforce and kind of guide and support others towards that alignment, right? Because as you can imagine, right, stuff is going to come up, right? And, amongst the employees and such. And so it's like, how do we kind of navigate through that in such a way that still strives to align them with the values and the vision of the company?
Yeah. The more repetitive, the better when it comes to all of these sorts of things, from entry-level employee to manager to whatever leadership team. As long as everyone is like repetitively hearing these sorts of things, they all have a position within the company to regurgitate it and hold everyone accountable by it. Hey, listen, empathy is one of our core values, and in this situation, maybe we could have been a little bit more empathetic. And next time, let's try to do that. Just something as simple as that is not only management, but also alignment to the values.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And this aspect of repetition, I literally just got goosebumps when you were talking about that, because, when there's kind of changes being implemented and such, I'm one for just saying it over with the repetition part, right? Because that's the way I learn. And so I literally said that this week. I said, and as a follow-up to these announcements that that Anna made, now in the licensed consort groups, like, we're going to deliver this message again. It just kind of helps it to sink in and just kind of like reaffirm those changes, because a lot of information, especially with a growing company, can come up at one time. So it's about like trying to stay focused.
Well, your background's in psychology, right?
Yeah, you have a master's in psychology.
Right. So you understand like the subconscious mind and programming it and getting it to remember things, to say the least, right? So repetitiveness for the subconscious is critical, no matter where you are in the organization, for your job or the one above you or the owner or whatever. And using our organization as an example, we discuss the same core value every single day for a month straight. Or said better, we discuss the brand book, which encompasses things like core values and purpose statement, mission statement, vision statement, The same thing every single day for a month straight. So for instance, every morning I have a meeting with my leadership team. Every morning we go over the same piece of the brand book. So for April, it's been our purpose statement. Our purpose statement is world-class education. That's it. Our purpose statement is world-class education. So every morning, Monday through Thursday, we don't work on Fridays, Monday through Thursday, the first thing that I put out is our brand book. And in this case, it's the purpose statement. And I say the purpose, I say the statement, and then I correlate it to some sort of example from the team or something that I did or something that I love about it every single day for 30 days straight, depending on the month, whatever, 30, 31. Next month, May, will be a different piece of the brand book, but it will be the same thing every single day. And it's just that repetitiveness, and it programs the subconscious into understanding, remembering. I don't know. You probably know the psychology behind it far better than I do.
No, no. I always kind of say it kind of takes a lot of reps, right? If we're used to doing a certain thing for X amount of time over X, right? Then to learn something new, it's gonna feel weird. It's gonna feel, weird, and different, and uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
And so it's about like knowing like how to like work through that, and like stick to itiveness, if you will.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
So that being said, right, like again, I love this idea that you're kind of presenting around like what is the purpose, and kind of having that focus. And what I was curious about is there like in your field of work, is there a common mindset of people that you've observed around that they're presenting with, like maybe areas where they might feel stuck, that you like support them in shifting that perspective?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah. I didn't mean to cut you off. Did I cut you off?
Nope. That's it.
Wow, that's a really good question. Impressive. Yes.
Zoe came up with that one.
Yeah. Yeah. How do I frame this? I work with business owners. I work with entrepreneurs primarily. Okay. I specialize in going from 7 figures to 8 figures. Okay. Or multi 7 figures to 8 figures. That's what I specialize in. Okay. You'd be surprised. Okay. Every company goes through the same effing thing from 7 to 8 figures. Okay. It's
a lot of patterns, similar patterns.
Yeah. Well, it's like, just like in psychology, there's jargon. In business, there's jargon. And in most businesses, every single business goes through the same thing, trying to replicate what got them to $1 million to what gets them to $10 million. And it's pretty much just these things: systems, processes, role duplication, and key leadership. That's it. Systems, processes, role duplication, and key leadership. So for instance, Dalton, let's say you're like the lead dude. I'm sorry, what's your title? I don't know.
Lead clinician.
The lead dude. Yeah, you like that? The lead dude.
Yeah, lead dude. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Let's just say you're knocking it out of the park. It's been a year. Like, everyone's like, wow, this guy's awesome. Well, a good business owner is going to duplicate you. Right? Where you have one, you need 2. So for instance, hey, Dalton, I need you to take so-and-so under your wing for the next 90 days. I want you to teach them exactly what you do for the next three months. And then we're going to have a milestone at the end of it and kind of see where they're at. Why? Because you're doing great. We want someone else to do great, so the team gets stronger and grows. Right? It's not an infringement on you. It's actually a compliment. Like, hey, this person's awesome. Let's duplicate them. I do this all the time. But, then people quit, or they get fired, they get sick, or whatever. But going back to the question, I don't want to like digress. Yeah, I see all of the same. It's always the same. The individual or the avatar could be a little different. If it's my primary demographic is 35 to 44-year-old white males, right? That's my primary demographic when it comes to everything. But typically it's all the same tripping points, but the avatar could be a little different. It could be, a female in that age bracket, and it could be a male in that age bracket. And there might be some differences in how they were raised. But fundamentally, what it comes down to is most business owners that are going from 7 to 8 figures didn't come from money, and they're not second generation owners. So someone that comes from money and someone that is a second generation owner, either or, have a whole different set of problems when it comes to business. Well, just typically it's entitlement, but that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. Middle class, maybe poor, coming up, opening a business, made their first $1 million, 2, 3, 4, 5 million, whatever. They're trying to get to 10 million. They're not second generation and they're not from money. So the middle class socioeconomic status, belief system, and mindset is very straightforward. I see socioeconomic statuses, right? It's very easy for me to see. Now at almost 41 years old, 15 years ago, I had no clue. But anyways, so you get that middle class entrepreneur, they're going to have pretty similar limiting beliefs, pretty similar hang-ups, somewhat similar traumas. Everything's going to be a little bit different, but a lot of it's the same stuff. It's a lot of patterns. Again, the gender will change the trauma, maybe the belief systems a little bit, but it's all the same shit. And I say that because I had gone through it and I had to unlearn way more than I've ever learned. That's a whole nother story. That's what my first book is written on, is literally.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So the psychology of unlearning my beliefs.
What's the name of your book?
My first book, it's Dominate Your Day. High Performers.
Dominate Your Day?
Dominate Your Day, yeah. High Performers Guide to Winning at Life. Yeah. Really, it's right. It's framed right there.
Oh, it's framed right there. Okay. Oh, cool. Right on, man. Oh, that's awesome. Sweet.
Yeah, second one will be out this year.
Nice. So, congrats, man. That's great. Yeah. What's the name of that one?
Enlightened Entrepreneur.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, the subtitle, I haven't quite narrowed down the subtitle, but I'm thinking a spiritual system for capitalism.
Nice. Be sure to check out our episode next week as we continue our discussion with Chris and explore a framework to reprogramming the subconscious, routines and habits, doing the shadow work, and a little bit of future vision for Izzo.